Welcome! My name is Kelly.
And I'm Gabe.
And this is Fanimated, an animation fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media. And finally, after 3 years of podcasting, I'm finally talking about Gravity Falls.
I remember when you first started, like the first episode came out, we were chatting about it and you mentioned a Gravity Falls episode. And I was like, yeah, I am all on board. You need me, I'll be there to talk about it. And so I've just been twiddling my thumbs for like 3 years waiting for this.
Yes, and finally it's here. So sorry to make you wait so long to finally talk about Gravity Falls. But of course, I couldn't have anyone other than you, Gabe Gomez, to talk about the puzzles and ciphers and everything going on around Gravity Falls. So since you are new to the podcast, please tell our listeners who you are, what you do, and anything else you'd like to share.
So my name is Gabe Gomez. And I do puzzly things. I am the artistic director at an escape room in Minneapolis, St. Paul. So I spend my days designing and building puzzles. And I'm also an artsy-fartsy person like Kelly. So an animated thing that has puzzles in it, like, well, that's like right up my alley right there. That's me.
Absolutely. You are a real Mr. Mystery. And I remember even one of our very first conversations. We met at a rehearsal, and I had Dipper and Mabel on my phone case, and we just started talking about Gravity Falls. So, obviously, like lots to love about that show. And I couldn't talk about it with anyone else. So thank you for being here.
Of course.
Yeah. And just to say, like, your escape rooms are some of the most, not only like well, like decorated and designed, but just like, I feel like the themes are always integrated into the puzzles themselves, which doesn't always happen in escape rooms. So well done.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. I should plug things. If you're ever in Minneapolis, St. Paul, come to Trapped Puzzle Rooms. We got good stuff. It's fun. We're currently circling a third location we'll have like a new giant experience, 90-minute weird theme that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. But by the time you listen to this, hopefully I'll be able to announce something soon. But cool things coming.
Exciting. I love it. Oh man. Definitely. All of the themes you guys have done, very fun, and I'm always looking for an excuse to bring people there. So getting on with Gravity Falls, the Disney XD original show. It was created by Alex Hirsch and aired from 2012 to 2016, which is a long time for just 2 seasons of television to air, but I do remember lots of hiatuses.
Yeah, that second season is like drawn out. But they had such a fan base by that point. People were so hyped that like they didn't care. Like they'll wait. Like you wanna give us a 2-month break in between it? Yeah, they were happy to wait and theorize and yeah.
Oh yeah, it gave more time for the theories to sprout up and everything, which was like half the fun. Honestly, was just like being online and being connected to other fans, and trying to figure out the clues and all of that. So, and Alex Hirsch kind of it was inspired by his own summers and his relationship with his twin sister Ariel and his childhood obsession with the supernatural and conspiracy theories and all of that. So it's really just kind of bringing that all to life in this crazy adventure where we have Dipper and Mabel Pines, the twins, who visit their great uncle or grungle Stan in Gravity Falls, Oregon for the summer. And there they find, Dipper finds a mysterious journal about all these strange occurrences that happen in Gravity Falls. And it's their adventure, like trying to figure out the secrets of Gravity Falls and why are all these crazy monsters here, and eventually discovering the secret that's like right under their noses, which is who is Stan? What is he up to? And then, of course, overcoming, just like with any great adventure show, they have to save the world at some point. So that's a lot of fun. Spoiler warning from here on out to anyone who hasn't seen the show. We're going to be talking all about the characters and story and everything. So go watch it. It's on Disney Plus. So, most people already have that anyway. So go watch it.
Yeah, there's some big reveals. Like, stop now and go watch the show.
No, absolutely. There are just some crazy things that happen, and we're about to spoil them for you. So, to start off with the characters, let's just talk about like the Mystery Shack main characters of Dipper, Mabel, Gurgle Stan, Seuss, Wendy. Of those main characters, who's your favorite and why?
I mean, I love Dipper to death. Like, I relate to this character so much. He's kind of dorky and nerdy and loves discovering things and not always socially adept. All the good stuff. I just love Dipper. There's also just a part of me that I also commune with Grunkle Stan in so many ways. Like, he's such a good character. He's not a character that you would normally run into on a kid's show. And his backstory is so interesting. Yeah. So those two. I mean, I love everybody, but those two.
Definitely. Grunkle Stan is one of the best characters on the show for me, too, because, he is this crotchety old man. He is a con artist. Basically, his job is he's running this tourist trap that is, showing all these fake mysteries when in reality there are real mysteries that Dipper and Mabel are running into every day in the woods. And Grunkle Stan is just wants money all the time, and it seems like that's like the only thing he cares about. But of course, as the series goes on, he really does care about his family, and everything he does is for the family. And he's just hilarious. Of course, I love Dipper and Mabel. Mabel is like this center of comedy in a lot of ways for this show, whereas Dipper is, like you said, the very practical and thinking and looking for the mysteries. Mabel is just go with the flow, crazy fun. I mean, sparkles and glitter and just crazy and wonderful. And so they make good two sides of the same coin of just these crazy kids going on adventures. And then, of course, we have Seuss, who's also fantastic.
Yeah, love Seuss. And I, another part of this, I love Seuss. I love Grunkle Stan. I love, if you didn't know, is that Alex Hirsch voices both of those characters, along with a handful of other characters kind of spread throughout the show. But his voice work is just fantastic. He's able to create these wonderful, lovable characters. Seuss is just he's a big cinnamon roll. You love him. He's so silly. He's got such a big heart. And jumping back to Grunkle Stan, it's a little bit different when you know that Alex Hirsch voices these characters. You get the purest form of, I think, Alex Hirsch's comedy, when he's getting to voice these characters himself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's some good stuff. Some good stuff that he he's fighting against Disney censors, but he gets some really, really good jabs in there. Good stuff.
Absolutely. The comedy, in rewatching it now for the show, I was like, how did they get this past censors? It's pretty great and pretty hilarious. And again, why there's such a big fan base is that it really is, a family show for everyone. It's for adults, it's for kids. And that comedy does really shine through with the characters he voices. But yeah, I mean, he voices Grunkle Stan, Seuss, Fiddleford McGucket, Bill Cipher, which is the big baddie of the show. And jumping to Bill is this crazy Dorito demon who, of course, wants to take over our dimension and gets in the twins' way quite a bit.
Yeah, he's wonderful just because he's in the way that a number of great villains are like the Joker. They're chaotic. It's just impossible to predict what they're gonna do. And with his power set as well, like he's an interdimensional demon. Like he can do whatever he wants. When that finale hits, and he can disintegrate people with the snap of his fingers, or earlier on when he decides to pull all the teeth out of a deer's mouth. Like
Yeah.
it's just bonkers stuff. So fantastic, and also just way more disturbing a lot of the time than you think they would be able to get away with. Let me
Yes.
swap all the orifices on a man's face. Yeah, good stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It is definitely creepy, crazy, chaotic vibes. Definitely. Definitely. And going back to the main characters, we also have Wendy. Wendy is the teenage part-time worker at the Mystery Shack, whereas Seuss, is kind of the handyman of the Mystery Shack. And Dipper has a crush on Wendy the entire series, and they actually very maturely wrap that up in season 2, where they're like, Wendy is like, yeah, I always knew you had a crush on me, but it's not going to work, right? And they kind of wrap that up cleanly and well, which is nice, so it doesn't drag on forever. And it's always very funny in season 1 when Dipper is just obsessed with Wendy in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite episodes is oh gosh, what's it called? I don't even remember the name, but the one with the magic copier, where he wants to impress Wendy, and so he makes all these clones of himself with Paper Jam Dipper and all that great stuff. But again, yeah, using his character motivation, that he wants to impress this girl, and exploring super bizarre sci-fi magic-y concepts at the same time, and mending those together. Just great episode. And Paper Jam Dipper for the win.
Absolutely, Paper Jam Dipper. Yeah, that's a really good episode. Devil Dipper. And there's like this party at the Mystery Shack, and the like B plot of that episode is Mabel finding friends and like trying to become like the queen of the dance floor or whatever. And so she's just like rocking out karaoke and dancing, and we meet Grinda and Candy, who are also fantastic characters. They're Mabel's friends throughout the summer, and Candy is this quiet but also chaotic little girl, and Grinda is this big, tough, strong, just out loud, crazy kid as well. And so they make this very fun little trio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. The three of them together, just great comedy nonstop. Grenda
Absolutely.
is the best.
Grinda is the best. She's just absolutely hilarious. Like, you just never expect what's gonna come out of her, and it just makes all of her episodes shine for sure. Of all the townspeople in Gravity Falls, do you have any other favorite characters from them?
Yeah, I love Tyler. He is the Gideon guy. That joke always lands for me. And the fact that
Yes.
he becomes mayor, and he's just such a sweet character. Just love Tyler. Good stuff. Also, Blubs and the two police officers.
Derland, yeah.
Derlin, thank you.
Yes.
Fantastic stuff. Also, just great that's Alex Hirsch. He's working with Disney, but they're a couple, and it's fantastic. They love each
Hmm.
other, and they're horribly stupid and incompetent, but it's wonderful.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Sheriff Blubs and Deputy Derlin are they try to keep law and order, but really they're just running around having fun, and they're absolutely head over heels for each other. So they're just like whipping out all these great one-liners of like, as long as I'm with you, everything's great. Stuff like that. I would agree. They're absolutely fantastic. The other like antagonist of the show is also one of my favorite characters, and that's Little Gideon.
Love
And
Gideon.
he's a child psychic who also like basically is like Grunkle Stan, scams people for money. Although he kind of has powers at the beginning, and he is obsessed with Mabel, and he's just trying to take the Mystery Shack out from under them because he has journal number 2, whereas Dipper has the 3rd journal, and it's revealed that Gideon has the 2nd one, so he's trying to find the journals as well and uncover the secrets, but of course thwarting Dipper and Mabel at every turn. But he's just this like small little folksy kid who is obsessed with his hair and has the squeakiest little voice. It's great.
Yeah, the character design is so good. The little suits, the rhinestones, just it's ridiculous.
So there are so many characters, we can't go through them all, but that's kind of like a good broad overview. And so we talked a little bit about Double Dipper being one of your favorite episodes, but what are some of your others?
So my favorite episode is season 2. Not What He Seems. Is that what it is? It's like
yes.
right in the middle of season 2.
Yes.
Yes. And that's where the show takes a big narrative change. Like it does. There's a big reveal at the end. But more importantly, it spends a lot of time just going like, hey, Stan's probably terrible. Let's throw a little bit more suspicion on that. Let's build some tension. Let's have some really cool action sequences with zero gravity. Just amazing stuff. And it finally ends with that reveal where you finally get to meet the author. Yeah, good stuff. And Mabel being sweet Mabel and deciding to trust instead of shutting down Stan. Just perfection. Such a good episode.
I wholeheartedly agree. It is my favorite episode as well. So, like, going into it a little bit, like, basically, Mabel and Dipper are in this position where they aren't sure who Grunkle Stan even is. And, he's being chased down, by the government, and they're finding evidence that he has stolen some stuff and that he has other identities. And so they don't even know who he is anymore, and he's been like down in the basement hiding something, and it comes to find out there's this big doomsday device that they think Grunkle Stan is bringing about the end of the world or something. And so not only is it like they have to decide if they're going to trust him, they've spent their whole summer together and done a lot together, or, are they going to stop? And of course, Dipper is the overthinker and is just like, logically, we need to shut this down because, this is how it goes. And Mabel being the more, connected to her emotions side is like, no, I'm going to trust you, Grunkle Stan. And then the doomsday device ends up being a portal to another dimension that the author, who is Stan's twin brother, comes out of.
Yeah. I know some people at that point when the episode had predicted, like there were some people who had put theories out there, but that was a reveal that just like blindsided me. I was like, all right, okay, we're going there. Cool. And then, I was later able to go back and kind of pick up on all the little clues that they had laid into previous episodes about there potentially being a twin. And yeah, just really impressive stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people were picking up on little details of Stan being a twin, and that all came to fruition and was super cool. They even make some meta jokes in later episodes about the TV show that they watch is Duck-tective, and then they're watching the show and then a Duck-tective has a twin brother reveal and they're like, oh, come on, really? I love those meta jokes about the fans, finding out about all the theories and things. It's so funny.
Yeah, Seuss is like, oh, if this doesn't match up with my fan theories, I'm going to be very upset.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh man. But yeah, not what he seems. Really high stakes, really intense episode. Like, and of course Gravity Falls, the name of the show, like the gravity anomalies happen, and that's super cool where everything's floating, and it just, that reveal, just like, oh, I lost it. It was great.
And the other amazing thing about that episode in particular, and well, no, the show as a whole, is that that episode and a few before it, like really, really committed to like this is a serialized story. Like it's not going to be episodic, which was really, really rare back then. You know, you had a few things here and there. You know, Avatar: The Last Airbender, some other stuff that had a more serialized story to it, but Gravity Falls was one of the first ones that popped. You know, now we have Owl House and Amphibia and some other stuff that is kind of following its footsteps. But early on, like this was a pretty remarkable thing to get, where you could actually follow these clues like early on throughout the story. Yeah, and love it, love it. It's a bold choice to make. And you know potentially can hurt ratings and all that stuff, but for the fans, like it's just so rewarding.
Absolutely. And it really is a, pretty big milestone in that, in opening the door to more serialized stories in Western, cartoons for kids. So it was really, really exciting, to be on that journey and see it all unfold. And yeah, like you said, there's so many shows now that kind of follow in that same overarching themes, and coming up with like something a little more long term, which is really cool to see. So, any other episodes that you really want to mention?
I mean, the smushing it all together, but like the finale, it's like it's 3 episodes, but the last episode's a double episode, and it's basically a movie. Like we got a movie as the finale of the show, and it's just absurd. There are fighting giant robots, and Mabel's Wonderland, and the finale is just so rewarding. How they defeat Bill, incredibly clever, also sad, but it's Disney, so we're going to turn it around last second, so it's a little
Yeah.
less sad.
Yeah.
Just perfect. I think it's one of the best finales to any TV show that I think I've ever seen. Yeah, it's great.
That's a strong statement. Absolutely. Yeah. Because, even I just love that it all comes back to Grunkle Stan, and he's the one that really saves the day. And, he sacrifices himself, and of course, they kind of bring his memories back. But when there is that little bit of time where you think that Grunkle Stan has lost all of his memories of the entire summer, and you're just like, no, we've been on such a journey together. You feel the same way that Dipper and Mabel feel at that moment, because it's like,
I just finished a rewatch, and when Grunkle Stan wakes up and Mabel says hello, and he says, "Who are you?" Like I teared up. Like that moment gets me every time.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
It's so sad. Oh, and so good. Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah. And of course I love it too that it's like it's Grunkle Stan. He's the con man, and he's gonna con his way to the end. And so I thought that was clever as well. But yeah, it's Bill Cipher being really truly throughout the series like is such a big threat, and in this finale, these finale episodes, like it's finally here. Like this is the major threat. He can take over the world, and it's gonna be crazy. And it's daunting, and the stakes are incredibly high, and you have no idea how they're gonna be able to pull it off, but they do, of course, like all together as a town, as the crazy town of Gravity Falls. So it's very rewarding. It brings together everything that fans had been searching for the whole series, and finally getting a leg up on Bill, and all of that. Of course, the very, very end with Dipper and Mabel on the bus, and Dipper opens a letter from everyone that just says, "See you next summer," and everyone signed it. That makes me tear up too.
Yeah. Oh.
So good. Just and that it has an ending, right? Like they went forth and they made the show, they made this overarching story, and they put a punctuation mark on it, and they didn't just like make it go on forever and ever without having like substantial things to do, which I really appreciate as well. It's only 2 seasons, which is sad because it's like, oh man, I could watch 8 seasons of this, but they told the story they set out to make, and they ended it really well.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to Alex Hirsch for making that decision. Like, this is what's going to be, and hats off to Disney for letting him. Like, they could have definitely been like, "Oh, that's too bad. You're off the show. We're going to have a new showrunner come on, and we're just going to make as many seasons as we want, as long as it's profitable." But for everybody to agree, like, we're going to tell a good story, we're going to stop. Fantastic.
It's amazing, absolutely, and more showrunners, show creators should have that opportunity to end it where it should end. Because I feel like a lot of times it's just about the money and they just keep going for no reason. But it's crazy thinking about Alex Hirsch, and he created this like basically right out of college. And I'm like, how I read things about how like he and the writing team were like up so late, so many long days and long nights of just like getting everything done, especially for the first season, and just that he created this massive show with this massive following so young, and it's still such a gem of a show, even it's been quite a few years already since it ended, but I think it's fascinating, so props to him and the whole team, really. And part of that is like, going on to all of, these theories and ciphers that are in the show. Alex Hirsch, I think, to the benefit of being younger, is he had, a connection just to internet culture in a way that maybe not everyone had. And this is a story that ongoing story that I like to talk about on the show, the podcast here, is just that like, we live in a time and place where we can have direct communication with the creators who are creating the content that we watch or listen to. And he utilized that connection to its utmost. So he was putting clues and ciphers in the show itself. And then he was like always at panels. He was doing like Reddit events and like answering questions. Like he was leaving clues in other random places about the show and always communicating with the fans online, which just made the experience like so much more than just watching the show. And I think that's like, honestly, for me, like this was my whole college experience, was watching this show and like following everything online and like decoding things and doing all of that. And it was definitely, for me at least, that connection online and all of those things going on. So I don't know if you want to speak to your experience on that as well.
Yeah. So I didn't get into the show until like probably halfway through season 1. I kind of missed when it first started. But a friend of mine told me, like, you got to watch this show. Like, it's fun, it's cute, it's silly, but also like, there's something going on. Like there's codes to decipher. There's all this stuff. So I watched the first episode, and they gave me a heads up. They're like, okay, so like at the very end of the episode, there's going to be a little code, and you're going to need to use a cipher at the end of the credits to, and it says "Welcome to Gravity Falls." But after that, I was like, all right, I'm in. Like I'm ready. Every episode. And Alex Hirsch, he put a lot of this stuff in, and the Disney execs are like, you know what, we don't want to spend too much time, putting stuff into these. No one's going to notice it. But it became very clear very quickly that like people were all about it. And they like super stepped their game up when they got to season 2. So,
oh yeah.
So early on, the episodes, you get a little message at the end, and you use a Caesar cipher, which is where you just kind of take a letter and you move over a couple letters, and that translates the message. So really simple. You get at bash, which you flip the alphabet. A little bit more complicated. Numbers start getting involved, but like as it gets later, it's like complex, like multi-level code. So you
Yes.
transpose the cipher once, then you use a different cipher, and then there's suddenly symbols, like the author symbols are used, and the
Mm-hmm.
Bill cipher symbols and combination ciphers symbols. And yeah, it gets to the point where like, okay, internet, we need your power. Like, let us band
Yes.
together and figure out what the heck is going on. Because yeah, they're like really complicated. It got to the point where I'm like, I don't know how to solve these. Like, internet, I need your
Yeah.
help. Like, I don't know how to do these anymore.
Uh,
Um, but my favorite is the shoot. What are they called? Visionaire
yes.
ciphers. Which are so clever because you need a keyword to solve them. Otherwise, they're just gibberish. And so now it's a new element where we're like all scouring through the episodes to figure out like what the keyword is to decipher the thing at
Uh-huh.
the end of the episode. And like again, hats off to the all the animators and especially the background illustrators for like hiding these subtle little keywords
Yes.
in the episodes. Just wonderful. And just my puzzly heart is just so happy for these things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just an entirely different experience, and it creates so much depth to the show. And it's just so fun. Just fun to be like part of it. You as an audience member have more interaction with the story than you normally would with just, a TV show. So, hats off to everyone on that. Absolutely. And part of that like fandom interaction that Alex Hirsch had and has is in the summer of 2016. He put on this worldwide scavenger hunt, which was so fun to watch unfold.
Yeah, so it's called the Cipher Hunt now is what we call it. And the very last episode has a bunch of little fun codes in it. But there was one super weird code that was it's like on the bus seat in like the final shot when they're like leaving town. And for quite a while, like people weren't sure how to crack it. It was another Visionaire cipher, but like at least I remember people just couldn't figure out what the keyword was because they scoured the episode for such a long time, and nobody could find it. Like it just wasn't in the episode, um, and eventually, it got cracked, and it ended up leading to this just amazing create. Alex Hirsch did this all on his own. It
Mm-hmm.
was not affiliated with Disney in any way. Um, there was a really good message where he kind of talked about that, like this is all him. But yeah, the amount of work that he did, like for the fans and just as a love letter, to say goodbye, um, was just I don't know, like pulls at the heartstrings, like my puzzly heartstrings again. Like love this man for all the work that he did.
Absolutely. Just fantastic. I mean, really, it was worldwide, all over the place. People were finding the clues and bringing it together online, and then they had to like, put together this like jigsaw puzzle, and there was like a whole bunch of people working on that like in a coffee shop like for days. Working on a puzzle, leading to like an actual statue of Bill in the woods somewhere. Um, and now it's housed at some other random tourist trap, which is super cool, and that people can go visit. But it just yeah, that he would put in all this effort to make one last little hurrah for the fans in real life to have a mysterious summer solving puzzles. So very very cool.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and just for that stuff too. Like again, even more so than the show, he's like, all right, internet, it's on. Like I'm gonna really stretch my puzzle muscles because they're like really tough. These really really cryptic clues.
yeah.
Um, I know there were some points during the puzzle hunts where people just like they had to brute force some of the ciphers because they were just too difficult to figure out. Yeah, and some of the location clues just uh, I am always impressed and terrified with the internet's ability to tackle problems. So
Yes, it's definitely a good example of that. Is just how they were able to do it. It's absolutely fantastic. And I don't know, like for you, when you're like creating puzzles and for your job, like are there any things like from this show or from your experience with it that like inspired you to actually create something for an escape room?
I mean, okay, so a lot of the puzzles that are in this show, like I wish I could do, but because of the format of escape rooms, like you
Mm-hmm.
just can't expect too much from people in escape rooms. So a
All right,
lot of
yeah.
this stuff is like out of the scope, but just kind of thematically, like
Hmm.
I want to capture that feeling. For a while, we're not going to doing it because the space that we wanted just kind of fell through. But like we were seriously thinking about doing kind of a mystery shack inspired location. The
Oh
building that
man.
we were looking at, we just didn't end up getting it, and the building was like perfect. So,
Oh
but who knows?
no.
In the future, I would love to do basically a mystery shack.
Gabe, that would just make all of my dreams come true. And I'm
Right?
sure a
Okay.
lot.
I'll just reach out to Disney real fast and get the rights, and it'll just be a full Gravity Falls escape room. Yeah, we'll just make that happen.
Yes, absolutely. Easy peasy, right? Oh man. Well, that's cool. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a different thing, when you have a long running TV series with, an entire internet fandom versus, six people in a room for an hour,
Yeah.
what they can accomplish.
I mean, we can do, I could put in a simple Caesar cipher type of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but some of the more involved puzzles, like I just love them and wish that I could give people the time, right, and the
Hmm.
manpower to tackle some of those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Good stuff.
Um, do you feel like growing up you were a little bit like Dipper and you were just kind of destined to work in puzzles and mysteries and all of that, or
I mean, I kind of, but more like on the I don't know, just creative side.
yeah,
I didn't really get into puzzly things until like college. When I was younger, I'm assuming like you, the little dork who doodled in a notebook in the corner. Yep.
yes,
Hmm.
yeah, that's about it.
So again, seeing a character wandering around with a book full of weird pictures and monsters in it, like that's me. That's me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Like this is the type of show that I definitely would have just also loved as a kid. Like if I was watching it as a kid, um, it just like all of the crazy, weird kind of like horror slash mystery things going on is just so fun and I feel like a lot of people really can relate to Dipper and Mabel and everything they're going through. So yeah, and here we are. And honestly, now I'm like, well, the kids who were watching it are like probably like adults by now.
Hmm.
What's going on? Um, yeah. So honestly, like I've recently gone through my old Tumblr like archives of like all of the Gravity Falls stuff that was going on, and there's just so much there. There's just so much history and content and things just to be looking at online about this show. And it just brings me back, brings me back to all of that.
Apart from the puzzles, just like the time that I spent theorizing as to what's going on, like the Bill Cipher wheel alone, like
Yes.
figuring out who's who on that. I spent way too much time thinking
Like,
about that wheel.
who's the bag of ice?
Yeah, exactly. That bag of ice, that llama. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Um,
oh yeah.
Theories like I was also convinced. Um, I was like, Dipper's birthmark on his forehead, which is why Dipper has the nickname Dipper. He has the Big Dipper on his forehead. Like I was
Uh-huh.
certain that like okay that symbol like it kind of looks like something that's like on the portal wheel. Like there's got to be
Mm,
some connection. I was just
yes.
trying to make something stick. But good times. Good
Oh,
times.
good times theorizing. I remember I was obsessed with the birch trees. Like, I was convinced that Bill was watching everyone through the birch trees. And like, there's one episode where in Ford's like history, like there's a memory of like Bill actually like all of the eyes show up in the birch trees, and I was like, this is it. This is convincing. Yeah, I was just convinced that the birch trees were somehow connected to Bill, and then there's the whole like for a long time people were just like really focused on like Bill and like fire because he's like this a triangle. What is it? The alchemic symbol for fire is the triangle. So everyone was like, "Oh, the fire that happens, and how is it connected?" I mean, people would go deep, and I would too. I was one of those people. Like, let me try to find connections that aren't actually there, but I'm going to convince myself that it's real. And that's what's fun about it.
The fire, later we figured out like why the fire was in it, and people were, always theorizing, all right, Stan, he's going to burn to death somehow. Like there's all this imagery throughout the show of him either melting or burning, a giant balloon bursting into flames, that type of stuff. But yeah, such a good reveal that like the payoff for that is like his mindscape, like burning up in the finale.
Yes.
Fantastic. And I will say, in your defense of birch trees, in the Cipher Hunt, one of the puzzles was built around an image of birch trees and like the like twigs and leaves and knots that were on them. So
yes,
let's just pretend like you knew what was coming.
Yeah, we'll just say, oh yeah, I totally foresaw that happening. Definitely, definitely. But it was a lot of fun, and it's fun to look back on all the crazy theories. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure what Alex Hirsch is doing nowadays. He's worked on a few other things, but I don't know what his current projects are. But hopefully something fun and crazy and kooky, just like this show.
He is, from what the word is, he is developing something at Netflix.
Cool.
So they said, hey, do you want to come work with us? We will give you lots of money and you can make literally anything you want. They were like,
ooh,
you want to make a movie? Go for it. You want to make a show? Cool. Animated, not animated, doesn't matter. We just like you as a creator. So he is working on what he calls the Untitled Alex Hirsch project.
Okay.
He has not revealed any details about what it's about yet. But something's coming. Something soon, hopefully. But he's recently talked about he's excited to work for Netflix where he doesn't have the same kind of censorship limitations that he did working with Disney. And also just like the format, like doesn't have to worry about commercial breaks, doesn't have to worry about the exact length of the episodes.
Right.
So we'll get something. I'm excited. I think because he said in the past that like he loved working on Gravity Falls, but like kids animation isn't the only thing he's interested in. So I think we'll get something that's more akin to just normal adult animation, but with that Alex Hirsch twist to it.
Well, that's super exciting, and I hope that we get that soon or hear more information soon because, I'm up for whatever his brain is thinking up. So that's super cool and promising, and just cool of Netflix. I mean, I feel like Netflix is really good at that of just like finding good people to do cool stuff, and really investing in their, whether this ends up being animated or not. I just feel like Netflix, it has invested a lot in their animated content, and honestly provides a lot more animation diversity than even Disney Plus. Like I feel like there's more to watch on Netflix for animated content,
and especially with the Netflix model, at least, they're basically finding creators who they trust, throwing money at them more or less, and staying out of their way for the most part. Like, unlike other studios where, you're getting tons of notes everywhere, Netflix just kind of lets you make stuff. So I think it'll lead to some really exciting stuff for animation as a whole.
Oh, man. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm super excited now about whatever Alex Hirsch is doing. And Got to keep an eye on that. So cool. Well, anything else about the show, about Gravity Falls, that you really wanted to say or mention?
Just that it's the best. If somehow you listened to this whole episode and haven't watched the show, that you're dumb. I don't know why you did that, but go watch. The show's so good. Go suggest it to your friends. Again, it's on Disney Plus. Also, all the extended stuff, like they released a Journal 3 book. That's a ton of fun. I got that. There's a freaking Nintendo DS game that's got a bunch of codes in it. Also, a ton of fun. Um, Go find all the shorts that they aired in between episodes. They're a blast. There's just tons of content. Just connect with the fan base as well. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It's funny. It's a whole, it just has like such heart to the show, and it's just a fun experience for everyone. So highly recommend if you haven't seen it already. So thank you guys so much for listening. To hear some bonus episodes and vote for upcoming topics, just like this one. This was voted on by the fans. Thank you. You can go to patreon.com/Fanimated and become a member of the Fanimated crew there for as little as $1 a month. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Fanimated Podcast to stay up to date with all things animated. And we will be doing an anniversary live stream Monday the 27th on our YouTube channel. So if you are listening to this before September 27th, 2021, definitely join us there for some just casual fun live stream. The music is written by Jamie Krause and the art is done by myself. You can find me on Instagram at CandorDraw. And thank you, Gabe, for joining me today. This was great.
No problem.
We will be back next week with another episode as part of our September Spectacular. So until then, stay tuned.
And stay animated.
It is actually illegal to skip the Gravity Falls theme song.